Dr. Jessica Ash here. Today, I have the great pleasure of having the amazing Rob Ferre with me. So stay tuned. So, Rob, welcome. I'm so glad you're here with me today.
I'm excited to be here. I was looking you up on Facebook. Are we streaming it? Where are we? On LinkedIn, Facebook? Where are we?
We're on Facebook and YouTube with 14.
Oh my gosh.
416,000.
Okay, great. I was like, I want to share this with my people, but I'll share it later. So that's fine. I'm just distracted and giddy to be on this. So thank you for letting me be a part of this. I'm joining you from my virtual studio here in Salt Lake City, Utah. And people often ask, is this a real disco ball? It is. It's a very real disco ball. So, yes.
Well, that's a great segue for you to tell us about yourself. So you're a DJ?
Yeah, DJ, MC, game show host, entertainer all around. And so I do a whole variety of things, and things that I love doing most, I love to MC. That's like my favorite thing. I just, I'm getting ready to do a 3-day, multi-day conference next week, and I'm helping people produce their virtual conferences as well. Not a lot of people are, this is a new thing that we're having to deal with. And so I love being a solution for people who are trying to figure out how to do a virtual conference themselves.
Wow. So can you tell me a little bit about your background and how you got into this? And then we'll get to the burning question of the day.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited for this burning question. Yeah. So shortly after I graduated from college in 2003, I decided to go do an internship for Disney in Walt Disney World. It's called the college program. And I went out there, and my first job was working in a parking lot. Yeah, it wasn't quite what I dreamed it would be, but I parlayed that into working for different places at the parks. I worked at the Haunted Mansion. I worked at the Jungle Cruise. A lot of fun. And I always tell people that was my first speaking gig on the back of a tram as people were coming into MGM Studios and being like, "Ladies and gentlemen, you parked your car in Goofy 55. Please lower your head and watch your step. If you don't lower your head, please watch your language. This is a family theme park." So I had to do that. And so that was my first speaking job. And then I got the entertainment bug while I was down there. I was recruited to be a part of a DJ company by my mentor, Elliot Hansen, who I'll be seeing in a week. We're going to go out to Orlando in about a week or so. But I was there for 3 years. And while working with Elliot, he got me into the DJ business and the entertainment business. And I worked at theme parks. Like, it was so cool. That's where I started. And then I also worked at the Nickelodeon Hotel. That's where I got started as a game show host. And so I did all these different things. Yeah, it was so much fun working for Nickelodeon. And I worked at Universal Studios. I worked at SeaWorld. I worked at Walt Disney World. And so I was there for 3 years, and I got my MFE, which is Masters of Family Entertainment. And that is not a degree, but I tell people that is, you know. So people like put like letters at the end of their names and like, what's an MFE? Masters of Family Entertainment. Or sometimes I say I'm a GSP, and GSP is game show person. So
that's a great one.
And these are not certifications at all. I just make them up.
Well, you and I have a few things in common. I was a game show host in Korea.
That's right. We talked about this. So like, what took you to what Korea? Okay. No, this is just like, I have so many questions. Like, why were you in Korea and why were you doing game shows?
So,
like,
and that was my first speaking gig, 1991.
Okay.
I was also the teacher for the Korean Army.
Okay. So you were an American teaching Korean Army people and doing game shows?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Okay. So what games were you playing with these people? What were you doing?
I was a co-host with the guy who owned an English academy, and we would have a conversation. I would say, "Oh, Tom has a bag of 8 oranges." And then he would say, "Oh, Susie ate 2." And then we would say, "Well, how many oranges are left in the bag?"
So
it was for kids.
So you were gamifying your education way back then.
Yes.
Right? That is amazing. Okay.
Yes. I hear an edutainment when I
Yes.
think of you.
Oh, cool. Yeah. In 1991, you probably would have been teaching me. So just to kind of,
Yeah, that's okay.
yeah,
That
you would have been the coolest teacher ever. That is so cool. That is so much fun.
still playing
That's great.
Jeopardy with my classes.
Okay. What are you
But
using for Jeopardy? What are you using?
I use a lot of different apps. I use Kahoot.
Okay.
Right now we're just in Zoom, so
Okay,
I can
well,
use Kahoot.
what? Put me full screen. Put me full screen. I'm going to show you this. You're going to like this.
Absolutely.
Okay, here we go. This is called the quiz show.
Oh
Yes.
my God.
How cool is this, huh? Okay, my face is being covered up. I'm going to put myself up here. Hi. So, yes, but if you put me full screen, you can see the full quiz show. Like, this is quiz show.
Oh, I see you now.
Yeah. So right now you can have up to 10 teams. Right now I have pizza, tacos, sushi. I did this for a group. I just worked with a group, and then you can have like this cool logo loop, like like that. And you got the music. Yeah. Anyway, and then you can create your own subjects and do this, and you could do that. And like, so let's play really quickly. I'm going to do this. Your pizza or taco. So like, for example, celebrity couples. Let's start with this. So this is your first question. We're now playing a game. Okay. Kanye West, celebrity couples. It is Kim Kardashian, but yeah, they're getting divorced. So, okay. I probably didn't explain the rules very well. I'm going to throw up a question, opposite song title lyrics. I'm going to give you the opposite song title, and then you have to give me the actual title of that song. Okay. You ready? Here we go. Jessica, Fire, Fire, Grandpa. Fire, Fire, Grandpa. What's the title of the song? Any idea? Did I stump you, Jessica? Now, you're muted. You're muted. You have to unmute yourself.
Water, Water, Grandma?
Oh, it's Ice, Ice Baby. Ice Baby. Anyway, so that's quiz show. That's what I use. It's like Jeopardy, but it's even better. It's so amazing. And so you can use a virtual buzzer. Now we're talking game shows. Now we're talking shop here. And I got this through, it's a website called Crowd Control Games, and they create these amazing games. So if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, crowdcontrolgames.com, tell them DJ Rob sent you. If they, I think I still have a code that works for 10% off DJ Rob. Really? So I don't know if that still works, but I want them to know that I am an evangelist of crowd control games. So you said Jeopardy. I wanted to show you quiz show. So
I love it. It's great.
Anyway.
So I want to tell you that I created a movement for community service. I had people from around the world send me like 30-second videos or 10-second videos saying, my name is Mustafa. I live in Kurdistan, and I'm not worrying about COVID because I'm making my community better. And when they sent me those videos, they were like picking up trash. And so I have 3 or 4 videos of compilations of people from all 7 continents doing community service.
That is amazing. Now, when did this happen? When was this movement that you created?
This started last June. Time is crazy right now.
And are they using a hashtag? How are you finding these videos? How are you finding out about it? Are they tagging you? I'm very curious.
Oh, no, they send them to me and I make a package.
Okay. Very cool. Okay.
But I want to know how to make it better. How do you really create a movement? Yeah.
So, and you must have done some research on me, because this is what I talk about. I talk about how people create a movement within the world, right? You know, and my favorite example is Greta Thunberg. You know, Greta, she was the one that started the movement with Save the Planet, right? And she started all by herself. It was just one person. And she started doing these protests outside of I believe it was the government offices where she was living. I believe it was Sweden. I do apologize. And she was doing these protests, and it was all by herself. Every Friday, she would miss school and protest by herself. Soon enough, 2 or 3 people started showing up, and they were doing it with her. They were protesting along with her. And so by the end, like a year later, when she started this, There were worldwide protests or movements where people were talking about climate change. And what happened to her? She became Time Person of the Year, right? I mean, like Greta Thunberg, this 15-year-old, 14-year-old girl started this worldwide movement. And so sometimes it really takes a little while for things to kind of catch fire. But I think right now with social media, I think having like a hashtag or something that really kind of people can attach that to. But I see one of the biggest social media influencers out there is TikTok right now, especially if you want to get the kids. Like, it's crazy. I don't know if you heard about all the K-pop kids. They were doing these social movements. I think they were buying tickets to Trump rallies, right? That's just an example. I don't want to alienate people who were in Trump's camp. But what they did is they went in there and they bought up these tickets for his rallies so people wouldn't show up. But that was a movement created on TikTok by K-pop fans. Like, how weird is that and crazy is that? And so you have to find a platform where your movement will take place, right? And that's the cool thing about social media now. It gets bigger and bigger. Let's also go back to another movement that might be similar to what you're maybe hoping to replicate. Do you remember the Ice Bucket Challenge? Ice Bucket Challenge, I believe that was about 5-6 years ago. And that was started by a man who had Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS. And it's a debilitating disease, and he's no longer with us. But what he did is he started this movement and he started challenging people. You hear this word challenge all the time. So maybe what you need to do is attach it to a challenge, the community service challenge, right? Something that is buzzworthy and that people are doing it. Hashtag community challenge. Community challenge, hashtag community challenge. I now challenge you, Jessica, to go out and pick up 10 pieces of trash today. That's all you got to do. Once you're done doing that, post a video, put community challenge, and then challenge 2 of your friends. That's how things kind of get momentum going. And sometimes I don't do these challenges, and sometimes I think they're silly. And then what happens is FOMO gets in, and I see everybody's dumping ice buckets on top of their head. I'm like, well, I want to do that. I want to be one of the cool kids. And so there's usually what is called the law of diffusion of innovation. Have you heard of this?
Yes.
So it's basically a bell curve. I'll try and find my slide for it, but I'll let you know if I find it. But the law of diffusion of innovation is basically what people, when you see a movement take place, and it starts with the innovators. And so these are the people at the very beginning who are creating a movement, right? And then you have your early adopters, right? The early adopters are the most important people. These are the people that have hitched their wagon to you and are wanting to create the movement along with you, right? And so once they jump on top of that, they will start being a part of it. And then you get them to a tipping point. That's where FOMO comes in. And that's when it really takes spark into the world. Okay. I'm still looking for this slide. I'll find it somewhere. But that's the law of diffusion of innovation. So what you need to find, Jessica, is your early adopters. You already have your early adopters. Now your early adopters have to tell everybody else. Okay. And they need to disseminate that in the world. And so that's kind of how movements are made. Sometimes it takes a little while. Sometimes it takes a celebrity. It takes an influencer, and people have jobs as influencers today. Isn't that weird? Like 10, 20 years ago, you'd be like, so what do you want to be when you grow up? A kid says, I want to be an influencer. You're like, what? Wait, because kids want to be influencers this day. So if you're going to be an influencer for good. Sorry, Jessica. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking that kids say, I don't need to go to college. I'm just going to be a YouTuber.
Right. But if you're going to be a YouTuber without no discernible skill or expertise, then that's going to be really hard. Not everybody has to go to college, but you have to be an expert, right? Like you could be an influencer with no expertise. Like my expertise is I know how to put on makeup. I guess so. So you dive into that, right?
It's working. It's working for some people.
Right. Exactly. But that's the thing is, if you want to be an influencer, you have to have an expertise, right? So that's the most important thing. Okay. I think I found the slide. It's going to come up here in just a moment. I'm like doing.
Take your time.
Here it is. Okay. Full screen me. Here we go.
Okay. Wait.
FOMO We're talking about FOMO. This is the dog here. The dog
Okay.
who has FOMO, right? The FOMO factor, fear of missing out. And here it is, the law of diffusion of innovation. So you could be the innovator. That's at the very beginning. And then you have your early adopters, right? Right below here.
Yeah.
Right.
I
And
see
then
it.
you got that tipping point, the early majority. This is where a lot of your followers are coming in. So we met on what is called, let's go back here, what is called Clubhouse, right? And I think we're in the early adopters, right? We're part of the beta. So we're part of that, that early 13, 15% that are on Clubhouse right now. And because we're on there right now, playing in the space, we're able to create influence within it, and that's really cool is once they open it up to Android, that's going to open up a whole nother market and more people are going to jump onto it. So I think some of the people that have a lot of influence are early adopters within a social media app. So I'm going to give you another example. Do you remember Vine? Do you remember Vine at all, Jessica? Okay, Vine is an app that just seemed so silly to me. Okay, it was an app that says you have 7 seconds to make a film or a story, right? And remember when Twitter first started, people were like, it's an app where you have 180, is that 180? 180 characters to tell your message. And it was like, how do you tell a message? And like, why are you so limited? And that's what Vine did. But what I loved about Vine is it created these storytellers who are so creative to create their stories in 7 seconds. There's a guy named, I believe it's Logan Paul. He became an influencer, a star, because he was so creative with the app. And that's what innovation is all about. And 2020 and 2021 has led us to new innovations. The pandemic led us to Clubhouse, right? We had to learn how to adapt and be able to connect with people. That's what Clubhouse is. But back to Vine. Vine was the 7-second app, right? So you have 7 seconds to tell a story. And so many people got on there and they used it for good. And some used it just for entertainment purposes. And then those people came on to, once Vine went away, they migrated, as they say, to other apps like TikTok and Instagram, but they still survive on there. And that's the cool thing is artists today are not your traditional artists. Some of them are very creative. They use video for art. They use comedy for art. And so there's so many ways for you to do that. And then Clubhouse came along because we couldn't meet in person anymore. So what did they do is they created a virtual app where you could have conversations in real time only by audio. And then while you're on the app, I don't know if you've heard people go like, well, I wish Clubhouse would do this. I wish Clubhouse would do this.
They need a chat, that kind of stuff.
Right. They need it. I think the chat's the most important part, but it doesn't matter because now they're innovating and they're using the app in very creative ways. And that takes us off the app sometimes when we chat on Instagram. But I like that because I can go to Instagram. I can go to LinkedIn and we can chat on there as well. And I can see more about your profile on Instagram. So I don't think we have to have a chat because we're already connecting on different platforms.
I think the fact that our hands are free and we can look up all of the other accounts.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, when you and I were in a room together, it was funny because we saw each other and we both like, okay, LinkedIn, ding, it's just everywhere instantly. It's funny.
Right. And then I think you sent me a message right away and you're like, oh, I was a game show host in Korea. I'm like, wait, we need to have a conversation about this. And so immediately we connected and then here we are today doing this conversation. But that's another type of movement. And so there's people now within Clubhouse who are creating amazing movements and doing some really cool things. I was in this pitch room last night, which is fairly interesting where it's like Shark Tank on steroids in Clubhouse. And so basically people step to the stage and they have like, I would say like 40 people a part of the panel who they could pitch to. I mean, it's crazy. And you're like, I have this idea. And then people pipe in and like, yeah, I'd love to help you. So it's actually not Shark Tank on steroids. It's kind of on a lesser scale, but the steroids is there's 40 people that you can pitch to. So
yeah, I haven't had the courage to pitch yet.
I have nothing to pitch. So what's your pitch, Jessica? I want to hear what your pitch is.
So my mission is co-rising, that all nations in the world have to rise together. If one succeeds and the others fail, then we all fail. So I have a large following in India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Iraq, Morocco, Algeria, of course, the US and Germany. But so I'm an international educator. Yeah. And so since when COVID started, the main reason I started the channel was so I could teach internationally and inspire youth during COVID. So on the weekends, I'm teaching in Bangladesh or Myanmar, or I'm doing a decolonization session with India and Pakistan. And I don't know how do you turn that into a business?
Yeah, I don't know either. There's somebody more creative out there than me.
Yeah. So you're talking about Greta Thunberg, and she had a mission. Yeah. And that was what I was listening to today in the rooms was, if you have a mission, you have the best cornerstone for some kind of business. You know, the people who want to sell a new makeup cream, or a new facial cream, that's a hard market. But have you ever heard anybody with that mission before? Right. You probably haven't heard my mission before. So it's unique. Yeah. And I think Clubhouse will help me find a place for it.
Yeah. I think the people that succeed, they show up no matter what. So if you're going to create a space for this, if you're going to do a YouTube video every day, if you're going to open a Clubhouse room and have a discussion around this, you have to show up every day. And eventually your fans, your tribe is going to find you. Here's another tactic that I do. I also hitch my wagon to other people that are already doing it and saying, how can I support you? How can we do this together? Because sometimes you might have that idea, you may be that innovator, but somebody else is already doing it, but they need your support as well. So collaboration is key to create it. So you may have that grand idea, but it's not going to take off until you collaborate with somebody else, or somebody collaborates with you. So it's not always the case that somebody's going to come in and find you. Maybe you need to go out and find that other person, like, oh my gosh, we're kindred spirits, let's do this. And then it just
I really did like the Spice Nation room. You know, in some of the marketing rooms, there's this feeling like somebody's selling you a car. Okay. Follow me and we'll do this. And it's like really kind of high pressure. But Spice Nation, these people are like, I think it was Chris who got in there. He's I can't remember his exact name, so I don't want to say it's the wrong person, but he gets in there and he publicly says, 37 years ago, I was a drug addict. I had destroyed my life and I walked into a rehab center. And that was the beginning. And every moderator got on stage and told their most vulnerable moment in life and said, that was when I was just really moved that these really successful people didn't lead with, I am so awesome. You know, they're very grounded and
that's good.
Purpose driven. So, you know, the idea of conscious capitalism or, you know, it's not Republican, it's not Democrat. It's let's design a future. Forget this double party nonsense. And you don't have to fit in one or the other. What do we want our society to look like? And let's build it.
I call that progress, trying to find a future where we can progress together. I think sometimes a lot of people are always pining for the old days. You know, it's like, oh, I wish it was like this. You know, I can't wait till we go back to this. We'll never go back to what it was before 2020. We will never go back to that. But the beautiful thing about it is we're going to innovate and we're going to move forward. The Great Depression really was terrible on our country. But what did we do? How did we rise from the Great Depression? We worked on our infrastructure. We created new jobs. We created new ways to do things, you know? I think that's what we really need to do, is rise from where we are. And innovation is really cool because, you know, necessity is the mother of an invention. And so a lot of things are happening. A lot of innovation is happening because of this pandemic. And a lot of people look at it like, oh man, this is the worst. Like, I'm actually enjoying and seeing what new innovations we're getting out there. So I know it's a lot of people are hurting, and I get that, but I think there's going to be a lot of good things that are come out of this.
And I'm so glad you said that, because I talk to so many people who get so sad, and or they'll say, I can't wait till everything goes back to normal. And I'll say, have you figured out yet that we're not? Like, there will be a new normal, and there will be another pandemic. So let's adapt. And it's funny. It's like, it helped me find my leadership. I realized, oh my gosh, all of the children in the world, they need inspiration. So boom, I just launched. I didn't even think twice about it. So the leadership, I found my leadership this way. And I always say that being online is not necessarily where we wanted to be, especially if you're a college kid. You wanted to go have that college experience. Yeah. But, you know, Rob, I wouldn't have met you otherwise if it wasn't the way it is. And and this is what I always say in every class. This is a privileged point of connection right now. Yeah. And some people don't have that. So, I mean, it's not what we wanted, but we have something that is possible. Do you know Benjamin Zander, The Art of Possibility? I do not. It's a form of optimism, but it's not like everything's great. I don't care that there's a pandemic. There is this bad thing, and it makes us sad. And because of that, only this is possible. So congratulations to you. You're doing what is possible. Focus on what you control. Focus on what you can do. You can't go to the moon tomorrow, Rob. I'm sorry. But you can do that thing all week next week.
Yeah. It really forces us to kind of look at what's ahead of us and not what's behind us.
So I know you have this big session next week for 3 days, you said?
Yeah, I'm emceeing a 3-day conference. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm working with LabCorp and just doing their 3-day conference. And normally they do this thing live, right? They do a 3-day conference live in a ballroom with a bunch of people, food, activities, and all of these. And now we're doing it all virtual. And so, but I kind of like this idea that I get to work from home. I do miss travel, but the great thing about doing things virtually is I have more inventory. And when I say more inventory, my inventory is hours in a day instead of days in a week, right? So when you're doing a live event, you gotta, have a day for travel, settle in, do the thing, do the event, and then you got to travel home or whatever. So like, you are booked for that day. You can't be in 2 places at once. With virtual, I can be I'm done at 3:00 and I can enjoy your event at 5:00, right? I mean, it's crazy how you can do that. Like, my day's not booked. It's my hours are booked.
Yeah, so that's a big benefit. So what are the biggest challenges when you're an MC?
Virtually or in person or in general?
You pick whatever comes to your mind.
I would say in general, sometimes a lot of MCs forget about the engagement factor in trying to connect with their audiences. So I have a huge challenge next week doing this event where I like to connect with people. I will not see faces. I will not hear laughter. I will not hear any of that. None of that. It's going to be kind of like, webinar style. And the only thing that I can see people engaging on is in the chat. So I had to get creative.
No video.
No video. It's just me talking into a void, right? And hopefully somebody's on the other end watching and maybe enjoying, because I'm going to be doing some stuff. They want me to open every day with a half hour of entertainment. And I haven't really thought about all the entertainment that I'm going to be doing for every half hour. But my cat is coming over to say hello. Do you want to meet my cat really quickly?
I would love to meet your cat.
Okay, this is my cat right here. This is
I have
Connor.
an amazing dog. I'll introduce you next time. Oh, your cat is pretty fat.
She's a fuzzy kitty.
Oh, what's her name?
Connor Kitty. Connor Kitty, say hello. She's
Hi,
not
Connor
Kitty. So
I'm a big
she had to come say hello. This is our family, my wife and my cat. So anyway, so the challenge with this particular event is there's a 40-second delay in the chat as well. And so I have a half hour of entertainment. So it's going to be a mix of games, music, and just interaction. But I'd be like, hey, who knows the answer to that question? Looking at the chat. So I can't do that. And so I'm going to find different ways to do that. I might do a text. I might have people send me messages on Instagram. I might just be speaking into a void saying, okay, if you got that right, give yourself a point. I'm just I'm going to have to do it that way. And sometimes you're only performing for an audience of one. Like, it's the weirdest thing, but it's also not so awkward sometimes because you don't know how they're reacting and you're just going to do your thing. But it is a challenge because I may not be getting that instant feedback.
I work with a lot of researchers who they say, I just have to get all of my research out there. Uh-huh. And I teach, so you have your content and you have here's your content and here's you at this corner. And they can't even tell us what the other corner is, which is the audience.
Right.
And they just go, blah, blah, blah. My research is so important. And everybody's texting. Like, you got to connect with the audience as best in any way possible.
Right.
That sounds like a real challenge. Well, I hope you'll let me know next week how it went.
Yeah, I will let you know. And I watch a lot of TV, to be perfectly honest. And my favorite host is Stephen Colbert. And I love what he does. I know he's quite polarizing when it comes to politics, but I really enjoy Stephen Colbert. But Colbert, for the longest time, was doing his broadcast from home. No audience, no laughter, and him just kind of speaking to a camera and just putting out his charm and his jokes and hoping they'd land. On occasion, his wife would be in the background laughing, and he could hear that. It's gotten a little bit bigger now. Now he's got the studio, but not a studio audience. So he's got people in his studio, like the people that work there. And I also watch, Seth Meyers. I've watched Jimmy Fallon. I've watched Jimmy Kimmel do it from home. And it's fairly fascinating to watch how these people work and how they can work a camera. And it's the same thing, when we do these broadcasts. Like, I'm just going to put on my charm and I'm going to pretend there's 10,000 people watching this YouTube. A lot
of it is about energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bringing energy to a space.
Right.
And like, not I have this one business colleague and he's always talking like this and everything. And I'm just like backing up. So there's like the overly dominant. And then this is what I often get to. Hi, I'm here today. Like energy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it takes a lot. And it's weird because I have a skill set that maybe not a lot of people have thought about or they use. TV personalities have to do this all the time. They always have to speak into it, but it's like pretend. I don't know if people as children, they spoke to their stuffed animals and did shows and plays in front of people. I often did it in front of the mirror. I'd make faces. Right now, if people could see the other side of this, I have a big, huge screen right in front of me, so I can see how I look. I can see my expression. And that's the cool thing about virtual is I can kind of look into it and I'm like, okay, I'm smiling. Okay, that's it. And then sometimes when I'm doing an event, my wife goes, oh, you got that face on. I'm like, what face? And so sometimes I'm not self-aware of those type of things. But with this, I have an immediate mirror that I can look, but we have to kind of create that energy. And one of my best pieces of advice that I've heard in the speaking industry, and I can't remember who said it, but, and probably multiple people have said this, is like, have a party on stage and bring everybody along with you. And that's what we're doing here is we just got to create fun and interaction. And that's what I'm going to be doing for a half hour for that 3-day conference. So what do you got there?
Bring up puppets.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
When I work with kids, I often use puppets.
Yep. I got mine. We have a
lot in common. Well, I think we've run out of time. Oh my God, Baby Yoda.
I got one even better. Check this out.
I almost bought that.
Yeah, it's amazing. So Baby Yoda.
I love him.
Down the street.
Anyway. Almost bought him.
Yep. I keep him. He's within hand's reach. Yeah. That's funny that we got all these toys. Like, what do I got? I also have this. Oh, I should probably implement this. This is called a nose flute. Have you ever heard of a nose flute?
No, you're kidding me.
Yeah. Give me a song. What should I?
Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Yeah. Here we go. So
well, that's amazing.
Let me see. So it's just a piece of plastic that you put over your nose. Your nose is the wind. This is a woodwind, and this is a wind instrument, not wood, but it's made out of plastic. But it's a wind instrument. So there you go.
I think you're going to be a big star with your edutainment and entertainment.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. Well, thank you for bringing me on here. It was great. It was a great pleasure to connect.
Yeah, I had a great time too. I hope you'll come back and see us sometime soon.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much, everybody.
Okay. Bye-bye. And you've been listening to me discuss how to create a movement with Rob Ferre. Thank you.